Hello? Who's out there? Hey, Jaquan. I show that I have one viewer. I don't know who it is. I did. Yep, it's live. I just don't have anyone on here. Okay, so yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to see you. Okay. Okay, so I don't know if I'll be able to see anybody. There are 3 viewers. I just don't see anyone, whoever's on there. Okay. Sounds good. All right. Okay, I don't hear you on the computer, but all right, I'll let you go. Okay, bye. Hello, everyone. If you can hear me, type your name in the chat box for me, please, so I can know you're there. Can you see me and or hear me? Just respond over in the chat box. Oh, okay. So, all right. So just if you could just share your name with me in the chat box, I'll know who's on the Hangout with me. All right. Well, I know you're hearing me, so let's see. Chat box, group chat, it's on. All right. So I'm going to assume that if you're letting Jaquan know that you're on, that you can hear me. I'm not understanding why the chat box is not responding, why y'all don't have it available. Jaquan, just so you know, I have clicked for question and answer, but it's saying that that is disabled. So I'm not sure if we're going to have that available or not. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and get started. And I've got my phone handy. Jaquan will communicate by text if I need to know something. So welcome. So good to be here with each of you with the Swans. Let me start out by just telling you my name is Regina, and I am a certified self-defense instructor with the Smart Safe program. So this is a reality-based program based out of Israel, and you can get more information about me on my website, which is reginarally.com. So we'll make sure you have that if you'd like to know more. Let me share the information that I have from Jaquan regarding the Swans. I'm going to go ahead and read that just to get us started in our Hangout. Alpha Gamma Xi Military Sorority is a service-based international organization for military women, and it's governed by military women. Alpha Gamma Xi strives to progress within the communities through our service-based initiatives and programs. The webinar that we are having today falls under their SWANS initiative. SWANS stands for Supporting Women and Nurturing Survivors. SWANS is dedicated to serving those women who have dealt with domestic violence and sexual assault. SWANS is a program in which all who seek a place of empathy, safety, and confidentiality can come together. SWANS also provides monthly SIS, standing for Suffering in Silence, talks. SIS talks are a discussion group where women can share their experiences of abuse of all kinds in a safe environment where they are understood and loved. They believe there is healing in testimony, and seek to allow every woman that opportunity to break the chains of silence and become whole again through sisterhood and support. It's a beautiful program. Moving along, I'm not sure what's happening on the other side there. Jaquan, can you still hear me? So I'm going to go ahead and open up my screen to show you a slideshow that I put together for us in overcoming fears and limitations. And just to share a little bit with you before I do, this is some information out of a book called The Trance of Scarcity. Again, it's called The Trance of Scarcity, and it's by Victoria Castle. Victoria Castle. You can get it on Amazon. I'm sure you can find it a lot of places, but here's a little bit, here's the cover if you want to see what it looks like. As she just tells us, it's a great reminder. It's something that we often forget and don't give the kind of credit that we should. There is a tragic theme in our society, and that theme is that I am not enough, and I don't have enough, and that limitation that holds us hostage. So she says, not being good enough, not being smart enough, rich enough, young enough, maybe old enough, all comes back to that prevalent theme of there is not enough. The premise of not enoughness successfully cripples our lives, and where we would otherwise be buoyant and passionate. So just to help you understand a trance, because sometimes we don't use that word and we're not familiar with exactly what it means. It's a semi-conscious state in which we are dazed or in a predisposition or a predetermined thought or belief. That's a trance, and so it's hard for us to think outside of it. It's like being in a box, perhaps. We actually are believing whatever we're told, whatever has been the message that's played through our ears, and we don't question it. That's a trance. And so Victoria Castle helps us in this book to understand how we're holding ourselves hostage in that trance and the things that it does to hold us in those fears and those limitations so that we're not able to go forward and actually live our life's purpose. So moving right along, I'm going to open up my screen and share the slideshow with you. Oops, wrong one. All right. Overcoming fears and limitations, and these apply in your business as well as your life. So here's a quote from Anthony Robbins. All personal breakthroughs begin with a change in beliefs. So how do we change? How are we going to overcome the fears and those limitations that are holding us back and holding us hostage? The most effective way is to get your brain to associate massive pain to the old belief. You must feel deep in your gut that not only has this belief cost you pain in the past, but it's costing you in the present and ultimately in the future. And then you must associate tremendous pleasure to the idea of adopting a new and empowering belief. So our goals here today is I want you to recognize the fears, the false evidence that appears real in your life, those messages and those stories that are on repeat in your head that are holding you back. They're limiting you. And then once we have recognized and identified them, we're going to learn to replace fear, the false evidence appearing real, with a new story. We're going to give ourselves a new message that we can put on repeat. And recognize that everything you want, whether it's in business or in life, is on the other side of fear. So here's a nice little picture I love to share with others, especially with my lady friends, and that is to remember to love yourself, to be your own best friend. Because what happens is we get in the habit of, uh-oh, what happened here? I'm still here. Can y'all hear me? Okay, so I've lost connection with y'all, or at least I can't see. Let me see. There it is. I don't know what happened. Anyway, so what we need to remember is that the message that we play in our minds is sometimes not the message we would share with a best friend. So if you have a friend who is going through a rough time in life, has had some kind of an experience that has her emotionally disrupted, you would not go to her with a negative message. You would go to her with comfort and empathy. You would open your heart and your arms. You would listen. You would be that shoulder and that strength that she needs, right? So the same way that we would treat a best friend, we need to start treating ourselves. And that's a message that, for myself, I have found difficult. I am my worst critic. I have had multiple people tell me that, from employers to instructors to you name it. Anybody who has had reason to give me some feedback on a performance has always told me that I am my worst critic, and that causes me to not perform as well and not to achieve the goals I would like to achieve because I hold myself back with those fears and those limitations. So just wanted to encourage you to smile at yourself in the mirror and to tell yourself that you are enough. You are confident, you are strong, you're worth protecting, you are worth achieving your goals. These are the kind of positive stories and messages that as you begin to embrace those and you tell yourself that, look yourself in the mirror, put that smile on your face as you make that eye contact, and you tell yourself these different stories, then you get to start replacing those negative stories that were holding you back with messages that are going to move you forward and help you to break free. It may take some time. We don't fall into those trances accidentally and in just a short order. It's something that has occurred because it's a repeated pattern. So we have to be patient with ourselves as we replace those messages and those stories, right? And if we find ourselves falling back into the old story and going into that trance, to just recognize it and break free out of it so that we don't allow that to hold us very long. So bringing up our slideshow again, let me just share that with you again. We have a little more to go with that. Yeah. So one of the things that I like to bring to your attention is the present situation. This being in the present, coming from the military, you may already have more of an understanding on this concept than some other people do. But whether it's self-defense training or going through a yoga class, in those kind of settings and those trainings, we're constantly brought to the understanding that we need to be present in the moment. We need to be aware of our surroundings, engage that situational awareness and things of that nature. So when we are talking about facing and overcoming fears and the limitations, we need to be present. We need to be aware of them. We need to understand how the fear, whether it's fear of success, fear of failure, fear of rejection, whatever the fear is, maybe it's a fear of doubt, right? We fear our own abilities. So if whatever that is, we need to be able to recognize it's causing us to stumble and that we need to break out of that trance. And also remember, just like anything else we embrace in life, we're going to have to get uncomfortable, right? There's nothing comfortable about changing. But if we don't change, then nothing in our lives will change, right? So we have to do something different. That way we can get unstuck and we can actually live the life of purpose that we were put here to live. So just a reminder from Robert Byrne is that the purpose of life is a life of purpose. So fears, are they your enemy? Because if they are, they're holding you hostage. And as I've already addressed, they're often referred to, the acronym for fear is often referred to as false evidence appearing real. Or forget it, it's too much trouble, it's too hard, so I'm just going to forget everything and run. I'm not even going to face this challenge. That is going to be you're letting fear hold you as an enemy would. But instead of that, we will want to be able to break free from that so we can face everything and really live a reality and face the opportunities in front of us. Sometimes the fears that are holding us as enemy, in hostage, as if they were our enemy, is embracing the thoughts and the beliefs that our family, friends, and society put upon us. They're limiting us because of their own life experiences. And we want to be able to go forward, not allowing that to happen. Sometimes we start asking ourselves, well, if I do this and I don't succeed, right? What if I fail? What if I don't really fly? What if I stumble and fall in the mud and I get all dirty? Whatever it is, whatever the what if, I'd really like to challenge you to say, but what if I don't fail? What if I do succeed? What if I do fly? What if I do create that societal change that I'm looking to create, right? That's what I want you to embrace instead, and just let go of those fallacies. Humans have the awesome, awesome ability to take any experience of their lives and create a meaning that either disempowers them or one that can literally save their lives. But the choice is ours, and it starts between our ears. Okay? Here's a quote. One of my most favorite quotes is from Marianne Williamson. And I'm going to read this. I really want you to take away this. If you get nothing else, take this with you. And if you have your camera, your phone, and you want to take a snapshot of this, by all means do. Otherwise, you could just Google it, Our Deepest Fear by Marianne Williamson, and you'll find it. But here we go. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God, and your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not in some of us. It is in everyone. That means you. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. When I first came to understand this quote, I caught just a little bit of it when I was watching a movie. And it really, really hit home with me and inspired me to go find the full quote and to understand just what that message was. And I came to understand that I didn't have a right to play small. I couldn't live on the edge of security and being cautious. I needed to play big. I needed to fly, because as I took those leaps forward, I was giving other people permission to do the same. I needed to start talking about the abuse of my past so that I could empower and equip others to do the same. And as we do that, as we take those skeletons of shame that are not ours to harbor anyway, and we pull them out of the closets and we crumble them up and we make stepping stones, no matter how rugged and bleak those stepping stones might be as we start, the more we step forward, the more beautiful those stones become, and the more lives that we will impact, and that we will allow them to move forward and to live their own legacy. So here is one of my favorite quotes. Aside from that, it's one that I don't even remember where I came up with it. When I was going through an interview, I was asked if that was my quote, and I couldn't find it. When I searched, I couldn't find it anywhere or who it would be contributed to. So if you find that, by all means, clear the air for me and make sure that I'm not misquoting this or taking the credit for something that's not mine. But confidence is the unconquerable enemy of fear. Think about that for a minute. If you have a false message playing between your ears, it's holding you hostage. But when you get the information that you need to be confident, you're no longer held hostage. You're unconquerable. And that's what I want to encourage you to do, is trust yourself and to break free from those fears that are holding you back. So let's face everything and rise. Here's acronyms, right? Fear, false evidence appearing real. Here are the new ones. Here's what I want you to walk away with. Take fear and make it your friend. Face everything and rise. To do this, there are 3 little steps you can take to create your new reality. Get the facts, gain empowerment, and then take action with that. And because fear is seldom singular, then you're going to need to do this, repeat this new habit, creating a new habit. You'll want to repeat this with each fear that comes across your path, but only take one at a time, right? Because we want success. And then S in that acronym is going to be for sharing. So as you overcome a fear, I really encourage you to share your experience with others. Because remember, when you do, you're going to enlighten and inspire them to face their own fears. And so together we can conquer those fears that are holding us back, and we can go forward to live our life purpose. Remember, we are liberated from our own, as we are liberated from our own fears, our presence automatically liberates others. So you definitely want to share your experience with them, with other women, other individuals in your life and in your path that you can equip and inspire them. So here's a recommendation. Once you take one fear and just identify it and acknowledge it. Maybe it is the fear of success. For many people that really is. Or it's the fear of failure. There's a difference there. And then it could also be the fear of rejection. Maybe it's hard to pick up that phone and make the phone call you need to make because you're afraid the person on the other end is going to say no. But what if they say yes? What if they are the key person in your business and you missed it because you didn't pick up the phone? So whatever that fear is, and it could be something totally unrelated to what I've talked about, identify it and acknowledge it. Then I challenge you to go online, get a book from the library, buy a book, do whatever you have to, hire a coach, get the facts. Understand that what you've been believing is untrue. Get the facts so that you can embrace them. So embrace that new evidence. And as you do, you've equipped yourself with the facts, you're embracing the new evidence, you can be empowered. And that empowerment is going to help you to take that step forward and take action. Do something different than what you've been doing. Remember, action breeds confidence and courage. So maybe the confidence isn't there just yet. Maybe the courage is still coming. It's not solid yet. But if you'll go ahead and take action, you'll start seeing that to develop. And as you gain the facts, become empowered, and take the action, you are creating your own reality. You get to do that. And this is something that each of us do day in and day out. We create our reality each and every day, each and every moment of that day. So we really need to think and to choose wisely in what we're doing. So here's your challenge. Get uncomfortable, break free, live on purpose. I want to challenge you. Remember, if it's not challenging you, then it's not going to change you. You have to get out of your comfort zone. Okay? Trusting yourself and breathing. So your entrepreneurial tips from yoga and self-defense, I've already touched on these, and that was about being in the moment, engaging our situational awareness. In a self-defense setting, situational awareness is always aware of your surroundings, so if something changes, the dynamics become dangerous, you know immediately and you're able to get yourself into a safe setting. You're supposed to be able to go ahead and make the changes necessary, whether it's to grab an improvised weapon or to remove yourself completely, wherever you need to do in that moment. So in building your business and in overcoming those fears and limitations in business and in life, you're going to want to be aware of what's going on between your ears. That's the situational awareness for you. And you have to understand when it becomes dangerous so that you can overcome it and you can remove yourself from that negative story that started playing again so that you can replace it with the message and with the story that's going to help you to open up your heart and your chest, put those shoulders down and back, stand tall and erect, and walk forward, gaining the confidence and the courage through your actions. Then remember to breathe. If you're holding your breath or your breath has become shallow, then you're going to tighten up and you're going to become tense and you're allowing yourself to feel confined. And that's not liberating. That holds you back instead of allowing you to open up and to move forward with your challenge. So trust yourself. Once you've gotten the information and you're moving forward, there may be a doubt that pops in from time to time. If it does, you need to push it out of the way and just know that you, within yourself, have the ability to do what needs to be done, and that your knowledge and your personal confidence is enough. So trust yourself. Get away from the self-doubt. Just trust yourself. As you do these things and you take these steps forward, your strength and your stability will become more intact. And each challenge that comes your way, each doubt that comes into your mind will get weaker and less often. And then you'll understand once again how much you are enough and that you will be able to be a strength in helping others to equip themselves and to overcome the fears that are holding them back. So I hope that's making sense for you. Some people often ask me how they can work with me, and so I just like to include a slide in here for you to be able to know. There's private coaching options. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these different ones, but this is different ways that if you're struggling with overcoming a fear or limitations, these are things that we can do together that will help you to move forward. I offer a seminar. It's called Smart, Savvy, and Safe. We can do that virtually or we can do it in person. I have my Kuda boot camps. Those are a lot of fun. The Gift of Safety is a safety seminar that's 2 hours long. I offer it around Mother's Day where mothers and daughters can come together and help to keep one another protected. Pardon me. So, you know, we don't often think about what we can do to maybe help an aging mother live life safer. Or maybe we have a daughter who's, you know, going into high school or into college and starting to date or, you know, going to be involved in settings that might put her in a more precarious situation. The Gift of Safety equips mother and daughter to be able to live life more freely, but to also be aware of their surroundings. And then I also come in and do corporate safety and self-defense trainings and sorority house meetings and campus initiatives. Things of those natures are some of the ways that people work with me. As a author, my next book coming out is Behind Her Brand. And Behind Her Brand is being confident. For me, that's the CUDA, which is a part of my business name, CUDA Empowered Women. The CUDA is actually an acronym as well. It stands for Keeping Up the Awareness. And that is the awareness of self-defense, the awareness of being empowered, the awareness of sexual assault, awareness of domestic violence, things that sometimes society doesn't want to address. They want to bury their head in the sand. It's not comfortable to talk about sexual assault or domestic violence. But I have come to a place where I've decided I can't be silent anymore, and I must speak up. I must live my legacy, and in doing so, empowering and equipping other women to do that as well. So this book, Behind Her Brand, will release on April 16th, and you'll be able to get it at that time. There comes a moment in everyone's life, a moment for which that person was born. When he seizes it, it is the finest hour. Winston Churchill. I really want to encourage you to live your legacy, to understand how overcoming your fears and your limitations are going to make that difference for you. I want you to ask yourself, what message are you going to leave? Whatever is occurring between the date that you were born and the date that you die, that dash in between, that's the message you're going to leave for the world. That's the legacy you are sharing with your loved ones. So I'm encouraging you to think about what message you have so far and what message you would like to leave. So if they don't line up, if they're not the same, it's not too late to make a difference. Share Your Message with the World is a compilation of inspiring and educational stories, and I happen to have the privilege of being one of the 28 authors in there. We hit international bestseller with that book last year in a matter of 5 hours. And it's because the authors in here are just like you. Each one of us had a challenge. We had a pivotal point in our lives, and we did something with it. We didn't allow the challenge that we were facing to hold us back. And so I encourage you to think about the message you're leaving and whether you would like to make a different message, right? If you'd like to have a different legacy. So overcoming common fears, the fear of self-doubt, the fear of success, fear of failure, and fear of rejection. I actually have the wrong time on this call. Let me see if I can change it real quick. I'm sorry about that. I forgot to come in here and change this. Oops. Nope, that didn't change. All right, so I am holding a courtesy call this coming Thursday, April 9th, between 8 and 8:45. That's the time that we are going to be on this call. Oh, look, it is going to let me change it. Good deal. Let me put that out here for y'all real quick. So if this is a call you would like to be on, then please, by all means, send me an email. Here's what you need to do. Send me an email with 3 to 5 fears that you have in your own life, whether it's business or personal related, doesn't matter. But send that to me by Wednesday, and I will make sure you have the dial-in details for this courtesy call. So your goals are what are going to give you focus. Let me say that again. Your goals will give you focus. Your dreams are what give you power. It's when you take action to overcome fears that you have the opportunity to live your legacy. Let me join you on the screen again. There I am. Good deal. So hopefully you can see me, and I trust that the slides were legible for you and that you got what you needed from them. If you need more from that, by all means, feel free to reach back out to me and let me know, and I will address that for you. I wanted to take this time to answer questions and answers. I tried to leave. We have 25 minutes, so that's plenty of time to address your concerns at this point in time. Otherwise, I mean, I can keep talking. I could talk and talk about overcoming fears and limitations, but I didn't want this call to be all about me talking. So that's where I was hoping to be able to open the question and answer. Let me try one more time and see if that's going to work for us. It's still saying that that feature is disabled, and I'm not real sure what to do about that. It looks like I'm getting a message from Jaquan, so give me just a moment, okay? Let's see if we can make that work. I am so pleased, so proud of each one of you for taking the time to be with us and to get this information. It can be life-changing, truly transformational to understand how those fears and those limitations are holding you back. Okay, so let's give me a moment. I have to find out how we can get your questions. I tell you what, take my phone number and send me a text. Let's do that. 713-569-2189. Let's see if that'll work. Somebody's messaging. I was going to tell you something else. Oh, by all means, go out and Google Marianne Williamson, and it's M-A-R-I-A, Marianne, A-N-N-E, I believe, Williamson, And she has several great quotes, but the one I was sharing with you was about, on the Facebook event. Okay, so maybe some of y'all are posting on the Facebook event for your questions. But anyway, it's to recognize that you are enough and that you have the opportunity to make a difference in the legacy that you live. You don't have to stay in a box, a limiting box of belief that someone else put you in. So I know for myself, in my childhood, it was a very abusive childhood. There was a lot of emotional and psychological abuse that it's much deeper than I've even begun to heal from. I'm still, coming to understand how much there was. However, with that said, I have found ways and reasons to start liberating myself and recognizing that the thoughts that I have used, that I have embraced, and those messages that I have continued to tell myself over and again, don't have to be stories that I embrace for the rest of my life. The fear of speaking up, of holding my tongue, of not rocking the boat or making my dad mad because I didn't want to hear him yelling and I didn't want to be in trouble, those served their purpose when I was in that environment. Those were self-preservation tools that I used. That's what I needed, right, as a child. But I'm not a child anymore, and I don't have to continue to embrace that story. And it doesn't help me to live my purpose if I live in that box. So I want to challenge you to figure out what it is. It might have been an event in your childhood. It might have been an event while you were in the military. Could have been an event when you were, employed. Whatever that was, break free. Recognize that it was something you needed at that time. It served its purpose, but it's time to tell yourself a different story. That is a part of your past, and you're ready to move forward and to do something else with your life. So embrace the opportunity before you. Embrace openness. And recognize when you start hunching your shoulder, caving through your chest, getting that scowl on your forehead, those are things that are going to cause you to shut down and to go within yourself. And you're not, at that point, you're not serving others. You're not able to be an influence, a positive influence or an encouragement for other women or for others in your life that are looking to you, right? Because what we do is our legacy. So when you start feeling those life stressors coming upon you and pulling your shoulders down, I encourage you to recognize them for what they are. Begin to open up through your chest. Let your shoulders come down and back. Put a smile on your face. Relax and start doing some deep belly breathing so that you can release those fears. Recognize them for what they are because you've already started addressing them, right? And that way you can start giving yourself that new message that you need so you can overcome that fear, overcome that limitation that's holding you back so that you can walk in freedom. You can walk with openness. You can embrace your abilities instead of doubting your abilities because you do have enough in you and you are worth anything and everything your heart's desire. If your heart's desire is to volunteer all your time, then you need to put your life in perspective so that you can. And even when you're doing all the volunteer work, which is a very rewarding place to be, you still have to pay your bills. So you still have to be true to yourself and to that opportunity that you have before you, whether it's an employment or it's your own business or whatever it is, however you're going to pay your bills, you have to be true to that. And then you have to break free of anything, any self-doubts, any negative thoughts that are holding you back in that business or in that job so that you can fulfill it. And that way you can have the liberty to go forward and to live your life in volunteer work. Give me a moment. Let me read this message. Oh, we have some messages. Doesn't fear protect you and keep you safe? Well, let me ask you. It could. Like I was making the reference to my childhood, my fear of my father, while it was an unhealthy fear, it was a fear that protected me from his wrath. So it served its purpose at that time, but it's not a fear I need to continue to embrace today. So I hope that makes sense for you, right? If you're walking in the woods and a bear comes at you, the adrenaline that starts flowing, right? That fear and flight factor that comes to play, yes, it serves its purpose. It lets you know you need to be wise and to make the decisions to get yourself safe, whatever way that might be. You don't want to think you're going to be, Wonder Woman and go up there and start fighting this bear. That would be ridiculous. So yes, it does. What I'm talking about are the fears that limit you and that hold you back. Like I already mentioned about my father. I don't have to fear someone yelling at me or fear that if I make a mistake, that it's the end of the world. I'm going to make mistakes. In order to go forward with confidence, in order to put one foot in front of the other, I have to understand I will make a few mistakes along the way. I might stumble. And I need to embrace that. I need to be able to laugh at myself. I need to dust myself off, get back up, put my shoulders back, put that smile back on my face, and go forward. That's how I achieve my goals. That's how I overcome the fear. In the past, I used to start criticizing myself. I would beat myself up verbally. I was not my best friend. Remember when we started with the slideshow? I wasn't able to embrace myself with a hug or put a smile on my face because I had so much negativity and criticism toward myself for that mistake. So that's where the differentiation between fear that is beneficial and fear that is holding you hostage. Do you need to forgive the past first before you try to overcome your fear? How important is forgiveness? Forgiveness is very important, in my opinion, in the regard that as you forgive, you release yourself. When we hold anger, resentment, frustration, bitterness, those qualities are destructive to us. They destroy us mentally and they destroy us physically. They cause a lot of health challenges. So forgiveness is important. Whether you do it before you start going forward to overcome fears or you do it hand in hand would be an individual experience. Some, it will be that you really need to address that forgiveness before. Others, you will be doing it hand in hand as you're facing those fears and those opportunities come forward. So it's going to be unique to your situation. At least that's my understanding. That's my experience. I don't hold any negative thoughts toward my father. I have forgiven him through the past. At the same time, years ago, I had to make that decision to set myself free of his negative impact on my life. And I walked away and I did not continue to allow that relationship. I separated myself. And there are times that we just have to do that in order to really be liberated and to live our lives freely. And in order to, forgiveness is one thing, staying in that hotbed is another thing. And I didn't need to stay there. And I felt a complete peace and a release when I came to understand that and embrace that opportunity. I have no regrets. I don't look back with regret that I walked away from that relationship. It's what has allowed me to live with peace and to be forgiving. Are there any other questions? We have about 10 minutes or maybe almost 15 minutes. I'd love to be able to address your question. Or maybe there's a certain fear that you would like me to maybe talk a little bit about that you're struggling to overcome. If you'd like to address it, if you'd like me to address it. All right, while you're thinking about that and putting that out there, I'm going to share just a little bit more from The Trance of Scarcity by Victoria Castle. So as we've already been talking about the stories and the experiences of our lives that hold us back and how our response to stress is impacted by the stories that play in our ears. So I wanted to encourage you to understand that the results that you produce in life the energy level you have at the end of your day, your interactions with family and friends, co-workers, the clerk at the store, your interactions with others, and your own self-esteem, especially your own self-esteem, are deeply embedded in the story that you tell yourself over and over again. So if you would like to see a difference in the way you feel at the end of the day, or the way you treat others, it's not that your heart wants to treat them poorly, but that message is playing through your ears, or playing in your mind, is what keeps that negative interaction. If you would like to see that changed deep in your heart, then that message that's playing between your ears is what has to change. And as you do that, I'm just going to tell you, there may be times that you still stumble and you still make those mistakes. But being willing to recognize that, acknowledge them to the person that perhaps you have injured or hurt in some way, and asking for forgiveness helps you to move forward. So Jaquan sent me the question, can you address the fear of the responsibility that comes from success? Hold on, I don't have the whole. Can you address the fear of the responsibility that comes with success? Fear of responsibility. Can you give me a little bit more? Can you go a little deeper into your question? So you want to succeed, but you're afraid of the responsibility. So maybe if I'm understanding this correctly, maybe you're looking for financial success, but you're afraid of the financial responsibility that comes with that success. Am I understanding? As you're answering my question, for more information on fear of the responsibility that comes with success, let me encourage you that it's normal for us to be caught up in that trance of scarcity. We're caught in this cultural harness. I talk about being a hostage, but being in a harness that is, it tells us that in order to be attractive, or in order to be strong, that we can't show weakness and that we can't show failure. And as we are able to break free of that harness and get out of that trance, then we are free to embrace those mistakes as they come along, and that liberates us instead of allowing society to dictate how we live, right? To dictate the stress level in our lives, because we definitely want to let that stress go. Okay, so not being what everyone expects. So once again, that would take us back to the fear of rejection, and not being what everyone else expects. To break free of that, you have to understand that in order to fill your life purpose, to live your legacy, you have to be at peace with yourself, and you have to let go of other people's expectations. That's not an easy thing to do. For many of us, we grew up in where other people's expectations was everything. And so as we recognize that I'm not taking that step forward and I'm not allowing myself to succeed because it might not be what somebody else expects from me or for me, then we're living in that trance of scarcity. We are embracing what Marianne Williamson addressed in her quote, and that was that we're afraid to be beautiful, to be strong, to be brave, to be intelligent. But when we embrace that, we're actually hurting others. We're hurting what our potential is. And the people who really care, the ones who really matter, they're going to see you for who you are. They're going to embrace you and support you. And they're going to accept that you are enough, right? They're not going to allow, their expectations of you won't be there, because their expectation is that you are doing what you're supposed to be doing, and they accept you for who you are. The fear of not meeting somebody else's expectation, coming back to the fear of rejection, means that we're allowing what somebody else thinks and whatever somebody else believes to hold us in that harness, into that box, into that that we're hostage. So be free and know that you are enough. And as you do that, you're empowering people in your path that are supposed to be empowered. You're living your purpose on purpose. It's a decision. I hope that makes sense. How do you resolve the conflict between your mind and your heart? Wow. Maybe there's a little more. You're not as good as you hope or what others think. Self-doubts. No, this comes back to honoring yourself, accepting yourself for who you are. Faults and your faults and your strengths all in one. We all have faults. We all have negative thoughts that go on. We all have weaknesses. We all make mistakes. And it's time that we cut ourselves slack to not continue to allow that to hold us back. Well, you know, the question is posed, maybe I should just stay a big fish in a little pond rather than trying to swim in the ocean. That's a decision you have to make. Do you want to be a big fish in a little pond, or do you want to be a little fish in a big pond? It's up to you. I want to be, because I know I'm supposed to be, that big fish. Because every time I open my mouth and I speak to not just empower, because we do need to empower one another, but to also give you the tools to equip yourself so that you can face those fears, you can overcome those limitations. When I do that, I'm making a difference in society. And whatever we choose to do will either have a positive or a negative impact upon our own lives and upon the lives that are near and dear to us. And sometimes we don't even realize how big an impact we're having on people we don't even know. But let me just challenge you. What if you choose to stay a small fish in the big pond? What if you choose to not embrace this opportunity to overcome your fears? What if you choose to allow somebody else's limiting thoughts and beliefs to hold you back? And you come to the end of your days and you didn't live your purpose on purpose. You didn't fulfill your legacy. The people that are near and dear to you are going to suffer. They're going to feel that impact. And there's probably people that you don't even know that are going to suffer as well. Because that everything we do, everything we say has a trickle effect. Just like throwing a stone in the pond and watching those ripples go out. For me, mediocrity is no longer an option. And not everybody's going to be able to make that decision. So, because I want you to feel good about yourself, because I want you to live a peaceful life, and I don't want you to continue to torment yourself and beat yourself up, I want you to figure out what it is in life that you want. And then I want you to be at peace with that decision, whether it's what everybody else around you wants from you or not. Now, if you make that decision that you need to do something that's out of your comfort zone and it makes the people around you uncomfortable, sometimes that's just the way it goes. So we can choose when we have very special people in our lives that we want to stay in our lives. It's not that we want to push them out as we move forward. We need to find ways to embrace them, to love them, encourage them, and wrap our arms around them as we move forward, letting them know that as we're making these steps forward in our life journey, it's not our intent to leave them behind. So easy? No, ma'am. Necessary? Absolutely. Okay? So the choice is yours. The challenge is yours. It's what you do with it that makes the difference. But just know that whatever choice you make, there are repercussions. There is a ripple effect. And then be peaceful. Don't beat yourself up, because that's just defeating the purpose, right? You want to be able to be at peace. You want to be able to relax your shoulders and to feel good about yourself, because that's where it's all at. Let me see if we have any more last minute questions. I understand the fear of rejection, but my concern is the lack of support. How do you deal with that when you're starting a business? To put that in a nutshell, you go find your own support system, networking groups or support groups like you have here with Swans. You find your own support system and you allow those individuals to be the ones that encourage you and build you up and to help you move forward when you don't have that in your immediate circle. That's what you have to do. All right. If you have any more questions, please keep them coming. You can put them on the Facebook event, and I'll try to get in there and check on that and address them there as well. But I knew that our Google Hangout was only set for an hour, and when that hour is up, it's going to cut us off. So I want to make sure that I wrap up by encouraging you with one of my most favorite quotes, and it's one I already shared with you. So embrace this. Confidence is the unconquerable enemy of fear. Get the facts. Be engaged, take action, and create your own reality. Then share it with others. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.